Good evening, America. I'm back to give you guys my 1 month review of the 2019 Corvette Grand Sport. So if you remember from my last video, I was hoping to get myself a daily drivable track car, and hopefully one that did better than my 2016 Camaro SS. I think I succeeded. If you guys have been watching my recent track videos, you know I've had it on track now 3 times at Thunder Hill here in Northern California, and it's been my daily driver. So I pick up my daughter from school every day in it. I have a 6-year-old girl, and she sits right there in her booster seat, and it does just fine, and she loves it. It's got about 1,600 miles on it, and you know, that's with 1 month, so I'm putting a lot of miles on it. Of course, the first month I did that on purpose so that it would break in properly, because you got to follow GM's procedure before you take it on track, so I did all that. So this is my basically comparison back to the Camaro, because my goal was to replace the Camaro with something that did better on track and that was more comfortable. And I think the Corvette Grand Sport actually does both pretty well. So one of the complaints I had with the Camaro was I put full race suspension on it, and it was a super rough ride, and my wife hated it, and I wasn't really happy either, and it wasn't really all that great on track. So just in the last month that I've had this car, I've improved my lap times at Thunder Hill by 10 seconds. Of course, I've had some instructor help. Buddy of mine's been coaching me, but I mean, this car is just a heck of a lot better too. I mean, when this car is at the limit, it's super smooth and composed, and it just wants to go faster. And I find myself going faster almost literally every lap on track. So anyway, a couple of things to cover with the new Grand Sport. So if you guys are considering a Grand Sport or considering a Camaro, there are pros and cons of each. Where do we want to start? So with the Corvette, while it is more comfortable in some respects, it is a smaller car, and that's definitely been a factor for me. So I'm 6'3", 225 pounds, and this car is a tight fit for me. So you can see that the transmission / torque tube tunnel is right there, almost underneath the steering wheel. The actual room, in the cockpit is pretty narrow. It's so narrow that I've actually worn the skin off my knee from my last track day. And also the Camaro actually had knee pads in the area that your knees would hit. The Corvette has hard plastic with edges, so it's a tighter fit, and that's been a consideration for me. A big consideration for me was headroom. With the regular roof on the Corvette, I don't fit in this car with a helmet on. So I talked about that in my last video. In order for me to fit, I needed the polycarbonate roof. But I drove around with the polycarbonate roof on the car for several days, and I actually ended up getting a sunburn. So I'm not sure if that's really a good idea for daily driving. I'm going to look into getting some UV protection for that so I could use it more, because it's nice. I do like the additional light. It looks nice. It looks black on the outside, so it doesn't really look bad on this car at all, but that's a consideration. I'd recommend, if you're tall and you're going to track the car, just get the dual roof package. So from an interior standpoint, the Corvette is nice. It's definitely not subpar. I'd say it's above average, but there's a couple things in here that too the Camaro does better. So in my, why are you not starting? In my that's not good. Alright, well, taking it in on Friday, I'll have them look at that. So, in my video with the Camaro, I talked about the infotainment system on the Camaro, and I was really happy. And a lot of it had to do with I'm able to drive around in the Camaro without actually taking my eyes off the road, simply due to the layout of the infotainment system. On the Camaro, all the buttons are kind of tactile. They had indents and things, so you could feel where you're at without having to look. Therefore, you could keep your eyes on the road. I really appreciate that. The quote-unquote touch screen on the Corvette, you have to really hit the buttons. It's not touch screen, it's like punch screen. The layout at the home page, as it were, on the Corvette is a little bit wonky. You got to remember the Corvette Stingray, C7 Stingray was released in 2014, whereas the Camaro Gen 6 Camaro was released in 2016, so the Camaro is just a newer car, right? And that kind of shows. What are the other things? So both cars do have backup camera. The Corvette lacks the motion sensors, whereas the Camaro has motion sensors. If you're backing up and something's moving, it starts beeping at you. The Corvette does have a forward-looking camera, which is huge. You can see the lines that give you an idea how far away you are from something. It's all blown out right here just because it's sunny, but that's huge. The Corvette is low to the ground, and a lot of people ruin their splitters. The Camaro's side view mirrors had lane change assist, so they'd beep at you and flash, red lights and stuff if somebody was in your blind spot. The Corvette does not have that. But a couple things that I do really like about the Corvette. This one in particular is a 2LT, so you can see it's got the heads-up display. I keep it in this layout, so I have my speed, my RPMs, what gear I'm in, etc. You can see if you're using auto rev match or not, if you see that gear indicator change from white to orange. That's huge. So when you're on track, only having to look at that, which is really within your field of vision, versus look this far down, is a benefit. When you're going 130 miles an hour, you don't want to look down. You want to keep your eyes on the road. So the heads-up display is a benefit. Overall, the car is beautiful. Other than my child's booster seat in here, it's a super pretty car. You can see I did the carbon fiber dash. Chevy doesn't fool around. That's real carbon fiber. I do like how they have Kalahari stitching on the steering wheel. It's not just up here. They do Kalahari stitching on the dash, etc. I did that just to give the car a little bit of color and a little bit of character. Right now the dash is in the track display, which basically means that the tachometer takes up the majority of the dash. I don't know if you could hear that. I'll do it again without revving. Basically means that the tachometer takes up the majority of the dash. Now I'll rev it up. So those are my thoughts on the interior. The cars are pretty similar. The Camaro does have a heated steering wheel. So on the Camaro 2SS, you'll have a heated steering wheel. And other than that, all the buttons are the same. I generally keep the car in Apple CarPlay mode. I don't have my cable on me right now, so I can't show that to you. But with Apple CarPlay on both the Camaro and the Corvette, you have Siri right here on your steering wheel, which is huge. You can send texts, make calls just by hitting the Siri button. So again, keeping your eyes on the road, not having to fiddle around. It's just a nice thing from a safety perspective. So both cars are really nice in that regard, but from just a room and comfort standpoint, the Camaro's a little bit nicer. And I'm just trying to be straight up and fair about that, because I'm trying to just give you guys good information and not be a Corvette fanboy. I don't want to be a Camaro fanboy. If people are, actually considering the two cars, hopefully I'm able to just give you some information that helps you make your decision. So one of the other, let me get out of the car. One of the other really big considerations for me, being that the Camaro had, this is my daughter Shiloh. She likes the Corvette, right? Good race car. So one of the big considerations for me was the magnetic ride suspension on the Corvette. You can get it on either car. I think the Grand Sport's tuned a little bit more for track, but really in touring mode, the car is super comfy. Just from a suspension and comfort standpoint, as soon as you put it into track mode, it immediately becomes a race car. I do have a couple different sets of wheels. I've got silver wheels with Pilot Super Sports. I've got black wheels with Cup 2s. I did put tow hooks on both the front and the rear. That's from ZL1 add-ons if anybody's interested. I'm not going to do any major upgrades to the car right now. I feel like the car is really good as is. I can't outdrive it. A lot of people just go right into modifying their car without having the skills to even, use what they got. And I definitely can't outdrive the Grand Sport right now. These tires, these brakes, the LT1 motor is more than enough. I'm still improving my lap times. Thus far, I think I said I've improved my lap times at Thunderhill by 10 seconds since I got this car, and I'm still improving. So I've probably got another, another 10 seconds faster to go before I need anything more. I did do a clear bra and ceramic coating on the paint because the track is really abusive to your paint job. You get rubber streaks that, you know, rubber flies up off the track, and it does streak your car. So I did protect the paint and made it a little bit easier for cleaning up. The one thing I am going to do is, unfortunately, the exhaust on the Corvette it's not as loud, it's not as throaty as on the Camaro, like by a lot. The Camaro, when I had it on track, you hear Camaro 2SS's go by with the suspension in track mode, and they would be like one of the loudest cars on track. The Corvette Grand Sport sounds like a purring kitty. It goes by and it sounds like a freaking Toyota Prius, and that's just embarrassing. So I do have a Corsa Extreme catback kit coming. I have that on order just for sound, just because if I'm going to have a freaking Corvette, I want to be able to hear it. I know they claim you get a bump in horsepower, but really, you know, to get a bump in horsepower from things like cold air intakes and exhaust, you have to do a tune, and that automatically voids your warranty. So because I am actually tracking the car, I want to keep my warranty. I don't know if you guys can see, you know, this paint, the Watkins Glen paint, just looks so awesome in sun. It has a lot of metal flake. So Watkins Glen has been discontinued, but they are going to have another paint that's similar that I believe has even more metal flake coming. So I think the car is beautiful. I get a lot of comments on it. You know, I really did try to put together a package on this car that does look sporty but still looks classy, and I think that's, you know, what I achieved. What did I forget? I think that's really about it. So, you know, a lot of you guys have had questions and input from my my first video on the Grand Sport. You know, keep that coming. If you guys have questions on the Grand Sport, I try to, you know, just provide good information. If you have anything in particular that you really want to see, I'd be happy to put something together in my next video. I'm not trying to be a YouTuber per se, but, you know, if I have information or experience that helps you guys out and you know, making a purchasing decision, I'm more than happy to provide that. And that's the kind of videos that I try to provide. I'm not trying to provide any clickbait crap that you see so often on the internet these days. It's just, this was a question that I had. Like, if I get a Corvette Grand Sport after having a Camaro 2SS with race suspension, am I going to really have a daily drivable track car? And so far, I think I do. You know, for 90% of my daily driving needs, this car's just fine. I'm able to pick up my daughter from school. I'm able to hold as much groceries as needed. I've had as much as 7 bags of groceries in this car. Right now, I've got the toolbox and some stuff from my track day and my daughter's backpack. When I had 7 bags of groceries back here, I still had plenty of room for more. I've heard of people doing Costco trips with these Corvettes and having plenty of room. So I wouldn't worry about that. You know, if you're looking at a sports car that actually has some utility to it, I think Corvette is really the best of the bunch. It's not bad looking either. It's nice when you do a custom order like I did. You can really put the car together the way that you want. So I think that's a nice thing to do, and I'm really glad I did it. Hit me up if you guys have any questions. Obviously, you're going to leave your comments. If you want to see anything in particular in the future, let me know. Be happy to put it together for you. And that's that. Hope you guys are doing great, and we'll see you next time. Later.